Welcome, everybody, to the Tea with Ms McGill Show, episode 50. It is Puka. It is a Star Show. Reed Larson. We had some recent subscribers I wanted to give a shout out to: Ryan Mernani, Deb Skelly, Nick Keys. So please be just like these folks. Hit the subscribe button right now because we're hitting the home stretch of the season here real quick, and you're not going to want to miss a single second of the Tea with Ms McGill Show. So like I said, episode 50, I guess I'll start out here. Just, thank you. It's been great working with you. I'm having a lot of fun, and kind of a mini milestone.
Yeah, it is. It's been fun. We're on year 3 of doing this, and it's fun talking about it day in and day out when we get a chance to talk about high school hockey, even throwing in the miscellaneous World Juniors conversation, talking about other things like Ovechkin, who is breaking Gretzky's records, and continuing to do that. It's just fun to talk hockey. Obviously, our main focus is high school hockey, but we throw some other things in there too. But yeah, milestone, 50 episodes and climbing.
Yeah, and climbing. Yeah, so like I said, make sure you subscribe so you catch the next 50. And for those of you that are new, when the high school season ends, we go into an interview format through the summer months. We always get some really good guests. So if you're a newer subscriber, go back to the summer months, 2022 and 2021. You can catch some of the interviews. Mike Antonovich. Who else do we had?
Todd Roloff.
Brian Perpich as a ref. We've got Bliss Littler.
Yep.
Bliss is a junior coach. So go back and check out those. Yeah, Drew. Yeah, Hobie Baker winner 2013. So some good ones on there. All right. Speaking of the World Juniors, we're going to start at the top of the show tonight. We talked a little bit last week about the World Juniors, and we talked about kind of how busy it is that time of year. And so it got me thinking during the week. For those of you my age older, you probably remember the Canada Cup that used to be held. I think it was every 6 years. I don't even think it was 4, but I think it was every 6. Pretty big deal up in Canada. Then they changed it at some point to the World Cup of Hockey. And then I think it kind of went away as NHL players started playing in the Olympics. I believe the first one there was 1998. But that was a great watch. You can see some highlights of like Lemieux and Gretzky playing with each other. And that was always held in September, coming off of summer. Might have even started even right around Labor Day. Maybe it was Labor Day or the day after, maybe just before, but it was always a fall thing. And so I was just going to get your opinion, Reed. Just like you said, holidays, World Juniors, so much going on. Plus, they're in the middle of their own seasons. Some guys are missing college games. Some guys are missing pro games. Some guys are missing major junior games if they're up in Canada playing. What's your opinion on maybe changing that to the fall before things really jump into gear for these guys?
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up because, there is a lot of hockey going on in January and December, and you've got high school hockey for people around the country that are watching. You got junior and midget hockey that's going on around. There's college hockey going on. It's tough because, to be honest with you, I think we said this last week when we were talking about it, I really don't. A lot of the Canadians that I played college hockey with, they always get into the World Cup. And I never did. I never cared that much about the World Cup because there was so much other good hockey going on that was closer to home for me. Yeah, it'd be great to play for Team USA. But whenever I thought of Team USA, I'm thinking about playing the Olympics. I'm thinking that's Team USA. It's like, okay, well, so I never got into the World Cup because it just seemed like there was so much other hockey for me to watch. But you bring up a really good point. It's these guys take off if they're junior age players. They're freshman, sophomore year in college. They're missing out on a month of their college season, and it's tough. They're gone from their team. Their team scramble. I know St. Cloud State had to scramble there for a little bit because they didn't have Jack Peart. Other teams are doing the same thing. Gophers are doing the same thing. North Dakota's doing the same thing. Everybody's missing a player or two. So, good question. I guess I really don't know. Would you move it to September? Maybe. But I guess I don't think, and I'm a hockey guy, but I also love football. So I'm not really thinking hockey in September.
That's true.
I'm not. I'm thinking football. I'm watching the Vikings. I'm watching, whatever college football is going on too. So I like them, but to me, I don't know. I guess I'm half and half on it. Move it to a different time frame. but I don't know about September. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, and that's interesting because, like I said, back in the day, I remember in the 80s, early 90s. I think the last time the Canada Cup was playing was like in 91. For some reason, I think it was the fall of 91. Some of you, if you look that up or if you know, please comment. We'd appreciate that. But back then, well, we just talked about this, my brother and I. It seems in the pro football or in the football rank or professional sports ranks, football's here now. Remember?
Yeah.
And now we came to an era when Michael Jordan played basketball. I think at that time, basketball was there, and then football, but now football is not only is football here, I think the gap has never been bigger as far as what major professional sports league is the most popular. And I would say the NFL, especially with the gambling and stuff, I think they're so far ahead. So that is a potential issue that I hadn't thought of, because, and I even know that the NHL has struggled with this a little bit, thinking, how many times do we schedule on Monday night? How many games are we going to have on Sundays in the fall, while football is going? And then plus, like you said, then there's the whole college factor.
Yeah.
Especially when you get south of the Mason-Dixon line. I mean, everybody goes to a college football game. But anyway, we wanted to get your comments too. So please feel free to comment. I said, I haven't caught a World Junior game. I caught one when Perunovich played a few years ago. Other than that, like I said, it's such a busy time. It's, there's lots of hockey going on. Plus, there's just lots of life going on between the holidays. You got your Christmas, obviously, New Year's, just so much going on. There's celebrations, parties, different things. Kids,
we had a little stake in it, right? It was fun for us to watch it with Grand Rapids High School because we could watch Jack Peart, and it was pretty cool for Minnesota people to kick back and watch World Juniors. You got, a number of Minnesota kids in there too. You got Luke Middlestead, you got Jack Peart, you got Jackson Blake, all these guys that are playing. It's fun to watch these guys. It's pretty cool when you get a chance to see, the 2021 Mr. Hockey winner and 2021 Mr. Hockey candidate and Luke Middlestead. It's pretty cool to see both those guys in there. And in fact, I put that out on my Instagram today. I just kind of saw both those guys. It was kind of neat because the Mr. Hockey Instagram page put that out there. Like, hey, here's some pictures from the bronze game. Those two standing right next to each other, Mr. Hockey and Mr. Hockey candidate for finalists.
Totally awesome. Yeah, I agree. So please throw your comments in there. We'd appreciate that, and hammer the like button if you can right now too. All right, Aspire Heating and Control. We pumping their tires just a little bit here. Like I say, if you have any issues with your furnace, these are the people to call. Give Justin a call, 999-5957. 218, of course. He's your local Bryant, an official heating and cooling company, or Bryant, excuse me, is the official heating and cooling company of your Minnesota Wild. They specialize in gas, electric, and hydronics. Heating and cooling systems for existing and new construction, residential and commercial installations available. Their services include forced air systems, boilers, heat pumps, mini splits. They are, of course, licensed and bonded. So again, Justin is the one you call. Any furnace trouble this winter, make sure you check your furnace filter, by the way, too. That kind of helps. Kind of that time. There you go. Get your furnace filter changed. I did too. But give Justin a call. Aspire Heating and Control, 218-999-5957. All right. So back to some high school hockey, more on the local level. The big matchup Friday night, 7AA down at the Heritage. Duluth East, Grand Rapids, obviously with you being a coach with the Rapid squad, not the way you wanted the night to go.
No, and it was, sometimes we have to remind ourselves as coaches and as a community that these are kids, right? It's everybody's looking at this matchup going, okay, Grand Rapids won the first matchup between Duluth East and Grand Rapids. This is Section 7AA matchup. Duluth East just a couple of weeks ago knocked off Andover 5-1 or 5-0 at home. Duluth East is grinding, playing really good hockey. And now that matchup, the second matchup between Grand Rapids and Duluth East, and it got pumped up important, right? Everybody in the community is talking about it. Everybody in the state's talking about it. You got Youth Hockey Hub promoting it because this was a whole big ordeal. Grand Rapids High School brings the band down. Duluth East has their band there. There's 3,000 fans at the Heritage Center. You got Mike Greenlay and Zach Schneider calling the game. This is it's pumped up with so much pressure and such a big deal. And we got to remind our kids that, hey, it's another game, and it's not an elimination game. It's not the end of the world. But I think sometimes the kids put some pressure on themselves, and they go in there and you go in to try to perform with that much pressure on you. Sometimes you don't get the result that you want. And Rapids did not get the result they wanted. It was an off night. And I don't want to get too far into the weeds because I I care about those guys and I don't want to talk negatively about the guys I care about. They know they didn't play the right way. They know that it wasn't a well-played hockey game. They just didn't, it just wasn't their night. Every facet of the game, it wasn't up front, it wasn't on the back end, it wasn't between the pipes. And I think every one of those guys would say that they did not have a good game. And look, give credit where credit is due. Duluth East played well, and they are playing well. Right now, they're coming into, I can't remember what their record is now, but they've had a tough front end of their schedule. So they were right around 500 with their record.
Okay.
And now they're coming into maybe, I don't want to say an easier stretch in their schedule, but not as tough as it was at the front end.
Sure.
And Rapids is on the other side of it. In our schedule, up to today's date, we're 9-5. And we were probably a little lighter with our schedule on the front end. And now we're hitting a really difficult stretch. There are some games in there that maybe aren't considered teams that are in the top 10, and maybe 2 or 3 games down the wire here that aren't in the top 10. Otherwise, the rest of the teams are, if not the top 10, the top 5 in the state. Yeah. We've got, Gilmurray and White Bear, we've got Andover and Wayzata, we've got Benilde, we got Moorhead on Saturday. I mean, you're talking, this is a stretch that the proof's going to be in the pudding. It's going to prove who you are. Sure. So that is okay for us in Rapids. We need to be playing our best hockey before playoffs. The last thing I think we want is to have a harder stretch at the beginning and an easier stretch at the end and not playing at the top of our game. We need to be playing the toughest teams. Regardless of what the result are of those games, we're playing our best hockey going into the section playoffs. As of right now, because of that win that Duluth East had, they beat Grand Rapids 6-0 in that game at the Heritage Center. Duluth East is sniffing at the number 1 seed.
Wait, first time, long time, huh? What do you think, 5-6 years?
Yeah, it's been Andover or Grand Rapids that's been the number 1 seed for the last 5 or 6 years. So they're looking at it right now. They knocked Andover off. They got the split with us winning the second game. Depending on what we do, if we go down in a couple of weeks and knock Andover off in Andover, then it makes it a little bit more interesting when it comes to seeding.
Sure.
I don't know how people would seed that, but in my opinion, as of right now, we're looking at, depending on how we do with Andover, we're looking at the 2 or 3 seed, and Duluth East the number 1 seed is theirs to lose, to be honest with you, because they've got it. So yeah, that was a tough night at the Heritage Center for anybody involved. If you were a fan, it was probably frustrating. If you were a parent, it was probably frustrating. And certainly if you were a player or a coach, it was frustrating. But again, remind yourself, I do this on a daily basis. I know Coach Chito does as well too. We remind ourselves that these are kids, right? And we love them. And we expect them to compete and to play with pride of the crest that they're wearing on the front of their jersey. But at the end of the day, sometimes you have an off night, and it was an off night.
Yeah, sure. And pressure is pressure. It's a real thing. Like, we're adults. Yeah. We know that pressure is pressure. That's why everyone watches the NFL games. They're going for the extra point with 10 seconds to go.
For sure.
Time out for the other team. Let them think about it a little bit more. Pressure's a real thing.
Well, yeah, and when you think about pressures, we have this conversation a lot, and this is something that we talk about with our kids, that you might feel the pressure in this big game to win. The community, maybe you feel the pressure of the community putting on you to win and to be the best, and maybe parents are putting pressure on you to do the best you can. But ultimately you're putting pressure on yourself as an athlete. And we always remind our kids that hockey's not pressure. It isn't. It's fun. It's supposed to be fun. What pressure is when you're an adult and you have to figure out, let's say you lost your job or you got laid off, and you got to figure out how to put food on the table for a family of 5 or 6. That's pressure.
That's right.
Yeah. Or somebody's sick with an illness and you're grinding it out, try to take care of that family member because they're sick and you're trying to juggle work and kids and this and that, that's pressure. Hockey's fun.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and so bottom line, the environment, though, like you said, great crowd, great, like I said, the bands, they even did the bands together for the national anthem. They said, nice statewide broadcast. Well, I guess worldwide broadcast on YouTube, but, kind of honed in on Minnesota here. But the whole environment for, we got to remember, like I said, this is high school hockey. I mean, to get 3,000 people in a building, get a nice broadcast with an NHL announcer coming in, that's pretty dang cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. In the Quad Cities, or if you're going to the Quad Cities, the Rink Sports Bar and Grill is the place to go for food, drink, and fun. Just down from the Hockey Hall of Fame, so it's right on Highway 53. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, full bar, full menu, Friday fish fry, as always, plus daily specials. It's a real cool hockey-themed establishment. We've touched on that just a little bit before. So the Rink Sports Bar and Grill is where it's at over there. You can order online at the Rink Sports Bar and Grill or order in advance by calling 248-8582. They'll have it all ready for you. Just go and pick it up. Michelle's the owner there. She'll take really good care of you. So the Rink Sports Bar and Grill is where you go the next time you are in or around the Quad Cities. All right. Take another turn here, but we're all over the place on this show.
That's good.
So we kind of look at sports in general, especially on the professional level. Analytics is a word that I would say 10 years ago in association with sports was probably rarely used or never used. But of course, in the last 10 years, especially in the last 4 or 5 years, this term analytics has really advanced as far as honing in on different parts of different sports leagues and different sports. So we're going to talk just a little bit tonight about penalty kills, power plays, percentages. Obviously, we got a veteran coach here. So we're going to talk a little bit. I've got some numbers here. As far as stats, what can we start with? We'll start with power plays. So obviously spent many years behind the bench. As a coach, where do you want your team to be, I guess, percentage wise on a power play, roughly?
Well, I guess when I look at the special teams, I kind of look at special teams as a whole. And I think a lot of people will look at, okay, if we're scoring goals and we're an offensive team, then our power play has to be at X amount. And I think of power play and the penalty kill together and as a unit between the two, how are we doing? First and foremost, I like that you asked the question about power play. I've always been kind of a defensive guy first. So I'm always thinking, okay, I'm thinking about goaltending. I'm thinking about penalty kill. And then I worry about the power play next. It's probably backwards. I don't know. I've never been
championships.
I've never been an offensive guy in my entire playing career and a coaching career. I've always worked from the net out. So I think of defense first, and then I'm thinking penalty kill first. But if you ask the question about power play, a good high school hockey program, if you have an outstanding power play in a high school level, you're 35% or better on the power play. And that there's a lot of things that come into play. That's outstanding. Now, if your high school program that's at 35% or higher on the power play, you got guys that are scoring 45 and 50 points. Okay.
Well, let me tell you, Warroad as of right now, 38.1.
They're undefeated, by the way. They're 12-0.
Yeah. And they're going to have, and they got Shagabe, who's going to have 50 points,
100%.
Yeah.
So that's 38. I mean, that's outstanding. Okay. Now you take a look at a team like Hermantown. Off and on the last couple of years, they've been anywhere between 35 and 45%. It's unheard of, but that's a team that's extremely offensive. And they had guys on their team last year, like the Plant brothers, who both have 60 some points apiece.
Yeah.
So that's outstanding. Okay. Now, if you're looking at a team that is offensive, they score points, but now you're between 25 and 30%. That's still good.
Okay.
I would take that 25 and 30%. I'd take that. You're struggling if you're below 20. If you're in the teens, you're really struggling if you're 10.
Okay. Yeah, because I just picked up some here. So Denfeld about 25%.
Not bad.
Rock Ridge 21.
Okay.
Cloquet 33.
Yeah.
And Hibbing 37.1.
And you know what? Those two power play units that you just mentioned there, Cloquet 33. Cloquet is a team that just motors. They work hard.
You said that the other day.
And
unrelenting.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're on loose pucks all the time. They're constantly supporting each other by one guy on the puck and another guy making sure it is in a position to get it. They've got a defenseman that's lights out on the back end with Carson Young. So they got the ability to crank that up. Now, granted, I don't know that their schedule is as good as some of the other teams in Section 7AA,
Right.
but they work hard. Hibbing has been lights out this year, and we'll talk about some seeding things with 7A here in a couple minutes. They're staring down the barrel right now of number 2 seed, second to the second best team in the state, which is Hermantown. So these are teams that got some pretty good things going on right now. And there's some good kids like the Freider kid right now and the Fawcett kid right now that are putting pucks in the net for Hibbing. And they're pretty excited about that. And guess what? For those that are excited about Hibbing, if you think that things are going good this year, stick around because they got a group coming through Bantams right now that's lights out. They got another group coming through Pee-wees that's lights out. And if everybody decides that they're going to stay home and be a Hibbing Blue Jacket, you're going to see some interesting things happen in the next couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So what do you like on the penalty kill?
Well,
do we have a number? I know you were talking about meshing the numbers, but do you have kind of a number in your mind?
yeah, I do. Lots of times when I kind of take a peek at the penalty kill, you have to look at the penalty kill percentage and at the same time look at the percentage of your goalie save percentage.
There you go.
Okay, so if your goalie's save percentage isn't 90% or better, there's a really rare occasion that your penalty kill is going to be 80%. It's going to be less than 80% if your goalie is not 90%.
Sure.
And the point that I'm making right now is that your best penalty killer on your team has to be your goalie.
Makes sense.
100%. And so there's just examples that are out there. If your goalie is a 93%, like a 0.93 save percentage, there's a really good chance that your power play is over 90%.
Okay.
Or excuse me, your penalty kill is over 90%.
Yeah.
If you are, like I said, if your goalie is in the 80s when it comes to like 0.88 or 0.85 with a save percentage, then they're probably high 80s percentage for their penalty kill, which is okay. That's not bad. But if they're struggling with the goalie struggling with his save percentage, he's not in the high 80s, he's the mid 80s. They're probably in the 70s when it comes to their penalty kill, and that's not very good. So I would say for an outstanding penalty kill for a high school hockey team is 90% or higher. That's outstanding.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've talked about Warroad on the front on the power play penalty kill 96.1%.
Yeah,
and they've got one of the best goalies in the state.
they've got that'll be a guy that's standing at the end of the year when it comes to who's going to be who's got the award for the Frank Brimsack Award. He'll be standing there. He'll be one of them. That's at the end of the year. And that's Hammer. He's good.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, and then we got some teams up north. Well, Grand Rapids 88.
Yep.
88.5. Cloquet 88.6. Well, remember they were 100% for.
They were.
Yep. So they're hanging around there 88.6. Rock Ridge 88.1. And through the Cake Eaters in here, Edina 87.5, and even Denfeld at 86%. So in that high 80s.
And I can speak for our penalty kill up until just yesterday. We just played a game yesterday, and there was a power play goal scored against our penalty kill yesterday. It was on a 5-on-3. They scored. That was the first 5-on-3, I think, penalty kill that we've had all year long, except for maybe just a couple seconds of it and expires and then it's a 5-on-4. But they scored on a 5-on-3, and that's up until that point, we were above 90%. Well, Miles Gunderson's save percentage is like a 92, high 92 into the 93s. So you can see why for most of the time we've been above 90% on the penalty kill, because Miles has been lights out all year long.
Sure.
Now he's not the only reason. We're fairly good defensively, and on the back end we've got 4 or 5 pretty good, really good defensemen, and we've got some aggressive forwards on the penalty kill, and we do a nice job. So that's kind of the key behind that. But as a cohesion between the two, when you combine the special teams, if your power play percentage added with your penalty kill percentage, And some people like to say if the two together is over 100, that's good. At high school hockey, it should be 110 or higher.
Okay.
Between the two. So your power play percentage plus
That's your penalty.
your penalty kill percentage is over 110, then that's pretty good.
Okay.
At the end of the day, if you're 90% on the power play and you're 20% on the penalty kill, then you're doing okay with your special teams.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
well, so there's the guy there. That's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to dig into that. I was able to find some stats. So that's really cool. So thanks for that. All right. If you drop by yet, Iron Range Apparel, Thunderbird Mall, ODR swag, look at Iron Range Apparel, ODR hats. So hats, caps, t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, jackets, jerseys, the whole deal. The gift buyer's paradise, what I call it, of course. So that's the place to go shopping. When you need to get mom something, when you get dad something, you need to get Junior something, you need to get baby Maggie something. You even have onesies. I bought a onesie for a buddy.
What
of
about
mine.
my dog? Puppy?
I bet you they have dog colors.
All
I'd
right,
have to look.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So coasters, all kinds of Minnesota themed stuff. Like, so if you like all that knickknacky stuff, like paddles and stuff with Minnesota, they got all kinds of knickknacks and stuff with, the state of Minnesota on it, or all kinds of slogans. So that, like I said, it's the gift buyer's paradise, Iron Ridge Apparel in the Thunderbird Mall in Virginia. So they say, go pay them a visit and tell them we sent you. All right. So let's do some previewing here. So like you said, schedule's not getting any easier. So you guys are on the bus, headed west to Spudville this weekend.
Spudville, yeah. It's kind of a weird situation. It doesn't always happen this way every year when we're scheduling, but normally when you make those 3.5, 4 hour road trips, it's usually for a weekend swing.
Yeah.
It's usually a Friday game close by with somebody and a Saturday game. Well, we didn't get it set up this year to be able to do two and swing, spend the night and get the next one and come back. So it's a practice Friday, jump on the bus in the morning on Saturday, take the 3.5 hour trip to Moorhead, 4:00 afternoon varsity game and head back. And it's against a Spud team right now that is at the moment 6-6. Tomorrow will play St. Cloud High School, the combination between Tech and Apollo, that co-op, the crunch or whatever they call them.
Is that like it really? Is that what it is? Okay.
Don't even get me started.
Like Apple Valley, Burnsville. I mean, there's all this stuff we can't keep track.
So they're the St. Cloud Crunch or whatever they're calling themselves. I think Moorhead's probably going to walk out of that scenario 7-6. And then, the Thunderhawks come to town who are 9-5, and it's going to be a good matchup. Moorhead has had their ups and downs this season. They've beat a couple of teams and they've been close and lost to a couple of teams. So that should be a good matchup for the Thunderhawks going out west. Normally when Grand Rapids makes the trip out there, they play at the rink that Concordia College plays at. For whatever reason, scheduling didn't work out this time. The game is actually at the Cullen Youth Center.
Okay.
So we'll be playing at that rink. I think Concordia, the Cobbers, are playing somebody at home Friday, Saturday this weekend. So that's the way that's the way the cookie crumbles this way. But that should be a great matchup. Two teams that have had kind of their ups and downs. Right now, Moorhead is kicking right at 500 with their record. Grand Rapids just a little bit over 500 right now. That should be a heck of a matchup and a great challenge for the Thunderhawks on the road.
Yeah. So 2 years ago when I was there, I was trying to log in. I think I found it. I think they have something called Spud TV, Spud.tv or something like that. If someone knows, please comment. So, it'll go on our feed, obviously, then everyone can see and can kind of catch the game. So if you're looking around, it's Spud or Spuds.tv. They play a lot of the high school sports out there. It's pretty cool. I'm assuming it's run by the kids.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a class. I don't 100% know, but I would make a guess that it's probably a class that's run through Moorhead High School that they run that Spud TV in kids, and there's an advisor that probably supervises it.
Yeah, on YouTube. Right?
Yep.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, so if you're trying to catch a game, look for it. Like I said, if you do find it, or if you know already, please comment. We'd appreciate that. All right. We alluded to the big Section 7A matchup coming up Tuesday next week. I don't even know if it's in Hibbing or in Hermantown, but yeah, potentially the number 1 seed and the number 2 seed, Hibbing and Hermantown, will clash. Obviously, Hermantown's the 800-pound gorilla, but nevertheless, that's why you play the game. I guess you just never know, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be, and actually Hermantown has a game or two just before that too. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be running over to Hermantown to call the game between, we doing a My9 game tomorrow night with Hermantown and St. Cloud Cathedral. So we'll have that on My9 and they'll have a game. Like they've got that game, and I'm sure maybe even another one on the weekend before they end up playing Hibbing. So maybe someone could wear Hermantown down and Hibbing can have a good crack at the number 1 seed or the number 1 team in the state. Right now, actually, I don't think they're number 1. I think right now, rating wise, they're number 2 to Warroad, who's undefeated.
Right
now, Warroad's 12-0.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So, well, they've got, they've been getting some good goaltending with Boyer. They had a big win last night against Moose Lake Willow River, but so big matchup. It is at the Hibbing Memorial Arena. So Tuesday next week, big Section 7A matchup. So we'll have all the details on that for you next week when we're back here doing the Tea with Ms McGill show. All right, some scores and more from the week that was. Bemidji 5-2 over Alex. Warroad Roseau last night. Of course, Warroad coming out on top, undefeated 7-4. Denfeld over the North Shore Storm 4-0. Greenway 1-0 over North Shore Storm last night at Rookavina Arena. Rock Ridge over I Falls 6-1. Proctor Don Ely 10-0. Stillwater skated past Cloquet 4-3. Like I said, Hibbing over Moose Lake 15-2. I just want to quick shout out sophomore Jace Kamsla, first ever high school hat trick. Congratulations, buddy. Like I said, I used to coach him way back in the day. And of course, the Walleye Scott Edina update 2-2 tie to Lakeville South. Did you see that one?
I did.
Now, Lakeville South, the top 5 team?
They're in the top 10. They've kind of teetered up and down in and out of that spot. So Lakeville South is the program right now. A few years back, 2013, if you remember, the undefeated Lakeville North team that went all the way through. Since that time frame, a lot of the shift has gone to Lakeville South. So that's kind of the premier program between North, South, Farmington, all of those teams that are in the south part of the metro. It's just, it's unbelievable.
I mean, 2013 was 10 years ago. I know it's also like just,
it's something else, man. But that's the kind of the team to beat in that area. And that's kind of an interesting score.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for episode 50. Like I said, we appreciate everyone that supported us through our first 50 episodes. We got going on this thing in January of 21. So it's just a little over 2 years. Or this week, last week might be the exact 2-year mark. So we've got 50 done. So like I said, we appreciate everyone that supported us, watch us. Of course, all our great sponsors we have today, the ones we've had previous, we couldn't have done it without you. We appreciate all that. Like I said, Reed, you've done a great job. I appreciate everything. Like I said, comment on anything we talked about tonight. Contact us more privately if you want to. GOATsportsmediallc at gmail.com. As always, subscribe, hit the hammer the like button. We'd appreciate that. Merch, as always, for sale. As a matter of fact, I would deliver a t-shirt after this tonight. Again, our partners, the greatest partners you could ask for, the Rink Sports Bar and Grill, Iron Range Apparel, Aspire Heating and Control, and Iron Range Goalie Academy. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Well, good luck down in Spudville. Have some potatoes while you're there. Be a lot of orange in the building.
A lot of orange.
Speaking of that real quick. When my son was still playing squirts, I think it was the 17 year when they won it.
Yep.
I come to the arena for a 9:00 square day game. There's 4 buses, charter buses in the parking lot. Square day game, Pee Wee AA game, Bantam AA game, JV game at like noon, varsity game at 2, square day again, play them again, Pee Wee AA play again, Bantam AA again. I've never seen so much orange in a building at once.
That's a beautiful sight. It is a beautiful sight. And I'll tell you what, there wasn't a better visual than what I got to experience back in 2017. Grand Rapids wins the state championship. That's at the XL Energy Center a couple of years back in 2017. I remember sitting there. I'm up in one of the suites right behind the Grand Rapids bench. Well, or right behind the Grand Rapids net, I should say, behind Zach Stasko. And I just remember looking around the building going, look at all this orange. It's never looked so good with 20,000 people in here and everybody's wearing it.
Everyone was wearing orange. Yeah,
it was a thing of beauty.
I almost went into cardiac arrest when I was out this
I bet you did.
But like Walleye Scott says, he graduated in the 70s in the Halloween machine. Remember the back?
That's right. I love it. It's perfect.
Yeah. So anyway, good luck down there. For Reed Larson, I am Puka. Get out there and be your dream. You're tuned to the Tea with Ms McGill show.